नमस्कार। मेरे साथ हैं फ्रेम में डॉक्टर सुधीर बिष्ट, जो ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं दिल्ली से। और आपको स्वागत करने के साथ साथ जब हम भारत की आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं सुधीर जी, तो कई दृश्य ऐसे हैं जो हाल ही में हमारे सामने आए हैं। कुछ ऐसे समाचार हैं जो हमारा ध्यान खींच रहे हैं। सबसे पहले आप नई दिल्ली में बैठे हैं और आपको पता है, आप शायद उस स्थान से बहुत दूर भी नहीं है क्या, जहाँ वो ट्विन टावर को अभी एक साथ धराशायी किया गया।
जी
यात्रा
जी
9 बरस की रही कोर्ट केस के। थोड़ा मोटा मोटी बताएं, हाउ वाज it for you to first learn that this is happening, second to have witnessed the meticulous planning, the way it was executed, and 9-10 seconds and the uh, both buildings were gone.
First of all, thank you, Ashok ji, for this opportunity, and a very big hello to all the viewers. So, if you see Noida is actually very few people know the full form of Noida, especially people who are in the US. Noida is nothing but New Okhla Industrial Development. New Okhla Industrial Development. So Okhla is somewhere in Delhi. So when Noida was envisaged in Uttar Pradesh, they wanted to replicate what was happening in Okhla. So it was developed as an industrial township with a lot of residential township thrown in. So, but Noida has become it has come to occupy a very prime space in NCR. Many people say that it is now on par with Gurgaon, if not better, with the new airport coming up in Greater Noida and the Jewar airport and things like that. So I welcome this demolition of this twin tower with a lot of relief. First of all, I had not imagined that it could be demolished. Because some people become too big. For example, they say a bank has become too big to fail, or a company has become too big to fail. So Supertech, in its arrogance and in terms of the swag they had acquired, especially in some of the governments. I will not name the governments of the political outfits, but I'll say, I mean, before 2014, it had many builders had come to acquire a reputation that they could go away after committing a murder. It's a figure of speech, not that the builders are committing murder. But things
Mhm.
had been very rampant, corruption had been very rampant, and small house owners, small house buyers who had mortgaged a part of their property in their village, and they had taken a loan at very high interest rate. Of course, interest rates have gone down in the housing loan also. So the builders thought that they could get away with murder, but not this society. This society, which is called the Emerald Court Group Housing in Noida. These society RWA people, they have taught this builder, who's a very big builder, and they have demonstrated that if people of this country they combine, they join hands, and if they get a government, especially the state government, which is not complicit with the builder, they can achieve good results.
Yeah, Sudhir ji, I know it is easy to look back and kind of see why this happened this way, that way, but that's what we do while we analyze. So, my question to you is, while you are building any high-rise building, you definitely need certain permissions.
Right.
And were these permissions granted in violation of the existing norms? And if that is the case, then it is not just the builder, but those who gave them the permission to go ahead with their plans of building that 32-story high-rise building in the area, which was in violation of the norms. So, what action, if you are aware, has been taken? Anything or nothing?
Action will be taken now. Why action could not have been taken till now is 2014, the Allahabad High Court came up with a verdict that the twin towers, one was called Apex and the other was CNA or something, they would be demolished. So once the court had given the verdict, but the builder had gone to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court had put a stay on it. So when the stay is on and Supreme Court is examining, then you have to give that leeway to the state government or agency that they will not, kind of rush in, because it will be seen as a kind of bypassing a process of the law which is going in the highest court of India. So, but now I have been told that a list of 23 officers has been drawn by the Chief Minister's office, and the state government will start proceedings against these 23 officers who may be very senior IAS officers. Some of them may have retired also. One thing you must notice that all approvals were in place, but those approvals which were given, they were in flagrant violation of the rule of the law. For example, if you see between two buildings, there has to be a distance. It is called inter-tower distance or inter-building distance. That was not adhered to. For example, there has to be fire safety norms. Those norms were not adhered to. Most importantly, the biggest stakeholder of an existing group society, which is the Resident Welfare Association, RWA's go in or the buy in has to be taken. They were completely neglected. So these are 2-3 violations which were done in spite of the builder not having fulfilled these 3 conditions. Noida authority gave approval. So I will say you have to blame the builder, of course, but equally responsible are the officers, the senior bureaucrats who gave permissions. And believe you me, action will start from tomorrow.
So now I'm just hypothetically thinking about you being the one who is representing these builders, and you say that I got all the permissions required from the government officials. So I'm not in violation from my side because I did it after getting the approval. Does that argument hold any weight in the court?
There are 2 ways of looking at it. If you have got all the approvals, then you cannot say that you are not responsible. Suppose it is proven that you were able to obtain all the approvals by using unfair means, then
Mm-hmm.
you will be held a criminal under the Corruption Act. You are corrupting the officers. Okay, so this may appear prima facie a kind of an excuse, or it may look as an exit route, but I don't think it is possible. I don't think it is possible because I may get a approval, but suppose I bribe the official and I get a approval, does that mean that I am not at fault? The approving authority is at fault. The approving authority can say it was a case of oversight. So one cannot shift the blame to the other party. The other party cannot shift the blame to the other party. So all are to be blamed. In case of
Okay.
Upahar tragedy, in which sorry,
Yes, no, go ahead. Yeah, you were
in
mentioning
case of
what?
Upahar, tragedy, Upahar was a cinema hall in South Delhi in which many people died because of a fire. So they had a approval from fire and safety and everything. Just having a approval does not mean you will not follow the law of the land. A
Okay,
shopkeeper
now
has a approval. Yeah.
Okay, now looking at it from the point of view of a common man and the kind of arguments that you probably are also reading on social media, some people they why didn't they consider making some hospital? Some people are saying why didn't they consider making some school? And leaving aside these people's argument, at the end of the day, it is the money of the exchequer that is lost in both sides. So
Right.
this builder ended up successfully selling these flats to people, and now they must be at a loss whether they will get their money or not. Secondly, whatever money was spent in meticulously dismantling with the explosive and 3,700 kilograms or whatever, so there is a big team, and so we meaning exchequer has spent money in taking it off also, and that too with the risk that some people might have been harmed, which fortunately is not the case. So on the one hand we can say that this is a proof of the technical excellence with which this project of dismantling the building with the explosives was executed. But on the other hand, you look at the cost involved, both sides.
Yeah, actually, Supreme Court has been very balanced and very exhaustive in its judgment. So it has put all the cost of demolition on the builder, and not only that, it has taken care of the people who may still have a stake in the building. They have said all money needs to be refunded at 12% rate of interest, and they'll have to do it in next 90 days or something. And this 12%, the only confusion is whether this is 12% simple rate of interest or compound rate of interest. But whichever way you look at it, so all the costs will be borne by the a hefty bill will be sent to uh, Supertech, and they will have to pay for it. Not only that, the all monies which are there have to be refunded by Supertech. Supertech, for example, cannot say, I will give you a flat in some other township. No, no, they have to refund all the money with 12% interest. Third thing is, Supreme Court has even told Supertech that around 2 crores was the amount spent by Resident Welfare Association. Supreme Court has to give that also to the Supertech also has to pay that money to the Resident Welfare Association. So Supreme Court has by and large the bench of two judges. It has I think looked after all the aspects, and it has covered it very well.
Okay, so we move towards the other side, which also has a branch related to the tree of corruption, and many times politics plays an important role in whether it will be clean governance or it will not be clean governance. And you and me are not many times are in a position to discern through different variations of the same news item that are coming to you through different news media as well as through social media. Now, let us talk about the allegation made by Delhi government against BJP. Delhi government, I say, because the chief minister himself was mentioning, and he went to Rajghat and said that they have put aside 800 crore rupees to buy out some MLAs from Aam Aadmi Party and all that. Um, the question, Dr. Sudhir Bisht, that I want to ask you, with your experience of having written so many articles with proper research for Rediff, and the question is there any answerability to the one who puts a blame on either side? Whether, and there are many people who are saying that Kejriwal or Sisodia did this, but they didn't come up with any proof most of the time. The same way from the both sides. Your take on this, and before uh, uh, I go there, I'll also mention that very soon we'll be joined by another panelist who got delayed with some other commitment. But yeah,
Okay, so Ashok ji, you are basically referring to what is the alleged liquor scam of Delhi. Okay,
correct.
now the liquor scam of Delhi, whether it is a scam or a alleged scam, having researched it all through, whether this will lead to someone's prosecution or not, I don't know. But there appears on the face of it that there appears to be a scam, and there are a lot of telltale signs, and there are proofs which are available. So in short, what is this? What has happened? As you know, that there are only 2 or 3 items which are not in the ambit of GST, and one of them is the VAT, or the excise duty on liquor or alcohol. It is still with the states. So what the Kejriwal government did, it privatized all the liquor vends. So earlier some of it was with the uh, one of the state undertakings, and the rest of it was with the private sector. So it said it will levy a one-time license fee, but after that they allowed a quite a hefty reduction in excise, or the whatever money accrues to the government of India, and they allowed the vendor to inflate the prices, or to keep the prices at a higher level. So this was somewhere in November. So November to March, there was a huge loss to the exchequer in terms of the duties and the VAT which is collected by the Delhi government. And Delhi government, the VAT and the excise on the liquor is a very, very vital component. I think it is around, I may be wrong, it is around whatever Delhi government collects, more than around 15% of its overall kitty. So once now, what was the intent? The intent was that Delhi will see substantial rise in the sale of liquor. So for that, the age for buying liquor was reduced from 21 to 18, something like that. And it was also decided that to all the bars and everything, the number of hours in which the bars could operate will be increased. Maybe it will be till in the morning, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., something like that. So basically, what you see, the idea was to have proliferation of liquor vents in every nook and corner. When we were small, when we had just started jobs, I used to stay in South Delhi. So we would have to travel at least 6-7 kilometers to find a liquor vent. But today I stay in a place, and within a radius of 3 kilometers, I have 7 liquor vents. So the idea was
So
that the Delhi state government will reduce the excise, but overall volume will increase. But this did not happen. Why? And there was hardly any benefit to retailers also. Why? Because when retailers had huge margin, they started competing, and then they started giving 1+1 free. So when this 1+1 free came, only then the people of Delhi started to ask questions that how come liquor has become so cheap, not realizing that a substantive part of 1+1 the government is losing as exchequer. So there is a
it is simple
deliberate.
yet very complicated. Yes, really sorry to interrupt you, and I have the pleasure of welcoming Dr. Dheeraj Kaul now with us. And Dheeraj, welcome. Dr. Sudhir is there, and our viewers are also waiting for you. And Sudhir, one line about Dr. Dheeraj. Many people in India are familiar with this face because he is appearing in many TV debates, left, right, and center. So I'll rope you in, Dheeraj. We were talking about the liquor policy of Delhi government, and I'll bring, because you are here in New York and you are aware that there was a huge article on the front page of New York Times praising the education policy of Delhi government, and the education minister happens to be the one who is also responsible for the liquor policy. So शिक्षा और शराब दोनों एक जगह होकर निकल रही हैं, सुधीर. That is also a little interesting. But Dr. Dheeraj, do you see the argument made by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in support of the Minister Sisodia ji, saying that he's been given a sort of a recognition as the best education minister? And what do you read in New York Times coming up with this article? And then it was also published in another newspaper. Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. Sorry, I was in a meeting earlier. I think coming first, I will, as a physician, I'll focus back on the liquor policy in Delhi, which is horrible. I think it has encouraged people to drink more. Heavy drinking is increased in Delhi. India is one of the world's capital when you talk about diabetes. It is the diabetic capital of the world, and one of the common organs affected, although not very common, is liver. Second, India is a very big pandemic of hepatitis C, which nobody covers, and hepatitis leads to liver cirrhosis and liver cancer. So once you have liver cirrhosis, you're done deal unless you get a liver transplant, which is lakhs and lakhs of rupees. And for a middle class person, it's very hard. Although Ayushman Bharat covers it for a certain subset of patients, but even after transplant, rejection medications are very expensive. So definitely prophylaxis is better than cure. So cutting down on any risk factor which promotes liver failure, liver cirrhosis, and liver cancer should be the priority number one of any government in India, because India is becoming, after certain Southeastern Asian countries like Thailand, Taiwan, as a world capital of liver cirrhosis and liver cancer as well, which is a deadly disease with a lot of complications, and people live horrible lifestyle. So any risk factor which promotes liver cancer, I'm totally against it as a physician, which is happening in Delhi. And I think Dr. Bisht was just talking about liquor policy in Delhi. So I don't support it, and he's absolutely right. It's a trick how they have lowered the value of the liquor, as in the cost of the liquor. But at the end of the day, it's taking money from one pocket, putting it there. So they could have built it, free Wi-Fi's like they were promoting earlier. They were talking about semiconductor factories in 2018, and now we are seeing world is already in a very dire need of semiconductors. What happened to that policy? I have no clue. Electric vehicle charging stations could have been promoted.
So allow me to interrupt. Allow me to interrupt. You are a very wise guy, but you have taken it all together to certain more important areas. But I'll bring it back.
Let me just finish in 30 seconds, because
Okay.
India is not the India of 1947. This is an India of 2022. Social media is there. Everybody is aware what is happening. Delhi is in a dire need of carbon trapping technology. Look at the number of asthma. Look at the number of respiratory diseases in Delhi. Not to talk about
No.
my point is the priority of the government is
Listen,
not on the right
listen,
spot.
my
The
friend.
priority of
Listen.
the government of Delhi is not on the right spot.
Yeah, listen, my friend. There are many important issues, But while we are taking one thread, let us go touching that thread. So I'll bring Sudhir ji and then I'll come back to you. Sudhir, you also read about the New York Times article which Arvind Kejriwal ji mentioned like a very huge honor and recognition, and he was accusing BJP or Prime Minister Modi of belittling the achievements of Manish Sisodiya ji as education minister, though they were criticizing him on a different. So, how did this overall did it help in image makeover for Chief Minister of Delhi?
See, as Dr. Dheeraj was saying, see, India, there are many priorities in India. Who in India reads New York Times? I mean, come to think of it. The circulation of New York Times is maybe 1/6 of time circulation of Times of India. Nobody reads it, and it was replicated in Khalij Times also. Okay, so first of all, I will say that ever since Kejriwal became a chief minister, there has not been any deterioration in the standard of schooling. But to say that the schools have been transformed, it's a, it's complete exaggeration. Ashokji, do you know that this free meals in the school has been there since the time of Sheila Dikshit? In fact, since the time of Madanlal Khurana. So they are claiming as if they are giving free meals, free education, free uniform, free books. This has been there since the time of Sheila Dikshit ji. So this is not a creation of Manish Sisodiya. Half the people don't ask him that question. Now, Delhi government has not built more than 25 to 30 schools in its entire last 10 years. I will give you another statistics and you will be shocked. Do you know 2/3 of Delhi schools, they don't offer science as a stream of learning for class 11th and 12th? I'm talking of New Delhi, which is the capital of India. 2/3 schools don't offer sciences in class 11th or 12th. So what are we talking about? I mean, this is without taking away anything from what New York Times did and what was there in Khalij Times. I have my driver, he does not send his children to this to Delhi government school, nor do any of the ministers of Delhi state government. So I find that there is a lot of gap between the hype and hoopla which is created and the ground situation. That is number one. Number two is because there is an investigation against the government on the alleged liquor scam. They are saying this is because of the praise they have got from New York Times. I mean, you can't be so daft. There are two different things. It is like this that somebody has committed robbery and the other guy has committed a theft. So how do you relate these two things? So it's a very clear strategy of subterfuge. And Arvind Kejriwal, I have voted for him 2 times. I have voted for him 2 times. I have written a very laudatory article on Arvind Kejriwal. I was the biggest supporter of his odd even scheme, and it got a very wide coverage in the print media and in electronic media. But he's become a master in subterfuge, going to the Rajghat, praying to Bapu, and then holding a confidence motion in Delhi Assembly. I mean, everybody knows you are in majority. Why are you holding a confidence motion? So he's a master of he's a master of antics, and I think this time he has bitten more than he can chew.
Okay, so
So
let's see
things
whether
into
he
bad.
manages to do it or not. Because earlier also there were few things which were following him, but he managed to succeed in Delhi as well as in Punjab down the line. So we'll have to see. But we always feel that time is less, and we only have 5 minutes. But I want Dr. Dheeraj to share your views on allegations and counter allegations without proper evidence. Should there be some additional laws to prevent that from escalating? Because if somebody files a suit, defamation, then you end up going and saying sorry, and things are business as usual. So, your take, especially what we are witnessing in Indian politics these days, Dr. Dheeraj.
I think India's judiciary system is in a high demand requirement of judges, and I think we have crores and crores of cases pending. So instead of this litigation cases, we should not waste our energy and I think anybody who does it, court should charge them, hire a different system, because this backlogs the judiciary system. It's a joke. India's look at 10 to 20 years of cases are going on for some domestic cases. This is not how democracy should function. Number two, look at what happens to the people who are supposed to protect the law. Look what happened in the Twin Towers. How did they let that building go up? And as a physician, I'm telling you, look at the asthma cases which will rise in that area after demolition. Although the demolition is done very nicely, but it's gonna float in the air. There will be shaking of the grounds in India. Look at the percentage, and Dr. Sudhir is here. You can ask him, what are the percentage of buildings which are earthquake resistant built in Delhi NCR area? You will be shocked. And Delhi NCR is on the belt of earthquake. We will have a Richter scale of like around 8 level, which can ground the buildings anytime in next 20 years. Does that sound a bell to anybody sitting here?
Where it should sound and it should make a difference. We hope and pray that it reaches there. But just
that's my point, Mr. Vyas. Give me 1 second. That is my point. The priority of the state of Delhi government should be these things: inspecting, making sure new constructions are built with monitoring environment, making sure judiciary is working well, making sure schools are taught science and maths. What are you talking about? We are in the next era. We are talking about electric vertical takeoff and landing. We are talking about settling on Mars, asteroid mining, 6G, forget 5G, 6G is what we are talking about. AI. You think you can do this without science? You want to be the laborers of the world, or you want to be the people in front running? Like we have IITs. We need to increase the technology.
We want to be the greatest. Dheeraj, I always love listening to you, and I always find time is short. Just 2-3 minutes. So I want you to address something that I heard in India from many people. They say that the central government would have ED or these agencies go after people who are not in their good books, which means they are questioning the credibility of the whole system. Your take?
I recently wrote an article in which I said that is ED bad only if it targets a particular family in India? See, it is like this. ED has found crores of rupees in the house of a very top politician in West Bengal. Crores of rupees. And all is linked to the teacher scam, right? There is another case of ED. ED has investigated so many business houses, and it has started to prosecute them. So this, I tend to entirely agree with you that, and to people who say that ED has been selective, I don't have, I can't say that ED is not selective, but I want to look at it from a different perspective. Let us say ED is selective today. It is going against all the leaders or politicians or businessmen who are not on the side of establishment. Excellent. See, power is not temporary, so the power axis may shift. If this fear of ED, if this fear of ED drives some kind of fear in the mind of people in power, I think it will be good for India. Another point, you see, ED went to the house of Kejriwal. Whatever you say, Kejriwal has personally been honest, or he has been very diligent, or he is very honest at a personal level. So they could not find anything there. But then when they went to the house of the erstwhile chief minister, I forgot his name, Channi, in his nephew's house, they found money. So give me one case where ED or CBI has not found tangible treasure troves. So if ED is finding people with stash of money, why to blame ED?
I think that's a good point, and let us hope things move in the direction in which they should. While India has reached 75, leaving it at that, Sudhir ji, and thanking you as well as Dr. Dheeraj, thanking all our viewers with lots of good wishes. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.